We might have just seen proof of something that many people have argued about in bowling for years, and that is how much of a factor is luck. Many argue that when it comes down to it, the majority of bowling is just luck. But what about skill, I hear you say? Well, in this video, we'll see proof that it doesn't really matter whether you're the best bowler in the world, it really can come down to a lucky or indeed unlucky break. We're going to look into this in more detail in this video and see just how much of a factor luck plays in bowling. This is all to do with the fifth and final major of the season, the Tournament of Champions, and we were treated to a fascinating telecast. We had Tackett continuing to make shows with ease, and he had an opportunity to win 3 straight titles. Plus there was Marshall Kent, who's had a solid season so far, winning 1 title and just missing out on another in the title match. And don't forget about the 1 seed Anthony Simonsen, who we are all too familiar with and what he's capable of in the majors. And that's without even mentioning Jason Sterner and Matt Ogle, who both are more than capable of taking this one home as well. I'm going to do a quick recap of the telecast, find out what happened and see who this year's TOC winner is, and look at this outrageous piece of luck which changed everything for one player. Match 1, and it's the number 5 seed Jason Sterner against Marshall Kent. Jason Sterner is the 3-time winner whose last win came in 2019 and is looking for his first major win, but it's the worst possible start as he leaves a pocket 7-10. Marshall Kent, who's notoriously had his struggles on TV, has had a much better season so far, picking up a title, but like Sterner, is also seeking his first major. It's not the best of starts for him either, going through the nose and then high, but Sterner has had one of the worst starts from a player we've seen in quite some time. The first 4 frames were all opens, but he did get his first strike in frame 5. Kent managed to stay ahead in this one, and even with an open frame in the 8th, he was still up by 32. Sterner tried to mount a little bit of a comeback with a double, but double wood in frame 9 stopped him in his tracks, and Kent did enough to advance. These lanes do look tricky, and neither player was particularly on it in match 1. Match 2, and it's Matt Ogle coming in to play Marshall, and Marshall Kent has made a ball change going to a sneak attack on the left, and is using a game breaker on the right and does get an opening strike. Ogle strikes but misses way right, but does clean up the spare. Marshall Kent's second frame, and now we see the little bit of luck coming into play as he gets this dodgy Brooklyn strike, but if you think that's bad, just wait until you see what's coming up later in the video. But overall, Kent has figured the lanes out, and that ball change paid off big time as he has the first 5 strikes. Ogle's been solid too, throwing 3 out of 4 strikes, but does go light in frame 5. Kent is on the front 6, but just look at what happened here as he throws it in the gutter, but all credit to him, he picks himself back up and makes the spare to maintain a 31 pin advantage. He actually goes on to strike out to the last ball in the 10th, so without that gutter we could have really been looking at a chance of a perfect game. Plus it was 2 more Brooklyn strikes in the 10th frame for Kent to make it 3 in the match, so the pins are certainly falling his way so far. A very respectable showing from Ogle, but it was not enough in this match. Now it's the 2 seed Tackett stepping in looking for his 3rd straight title, and he's playing a very deep line going with a max thrill solid. He has 3 in a row, but the 4th frame is inside, leaving the 3-6-10 which he spares. Kent is working on a strike but makes a ball change on the right lane going with the breakaway, and somehow he gets a strike here, completely misses right, but they all fall over anyway. And this goes back to what I said at the start of the video, and this is why so many argue that bowling is all about luck. And when you see shots like that, you have to say they have a point. Because halfway through the match, clearly EJ has bowled the better game so far, and yet he's behind. Now to be fair to Marshall, every time he's had a lucky break, he's capitalised on it by throwing a very good shot straight after it. So there's no denying he's bowled pretty well so far. It's just that when he has made bad shots, he hasn't been punished with splits, and many of the bad shots have actually ended up striking. EJ went slightly wider and left a 10 pin which he missed, and this was reminiscent of his struggles on TV throughout the season before he won back-to-back titles. Kent strikes again on the right lane, still going with 2 different balls. He misses way right on the next shot, and for a moment it looked like it was going to get a strike the same as before, but it is an 8 spare. 2 shots from EJ, the first goes light and the second goes high, and it's back-to-back spares, and this one is slipping away fast. Kent strikes but then throws another errant shot way out to the right, only getting 3 pins, and it was almost in the gutter again, but luckily he was working on a strike, so didn't lose count. But he doesn't manage to make the spare, and this does give EJ a chance. EJ strikes in the 9th, but the next shot goes through the nose and it results in an open. Randy said in commentary that EJ is injured, and it certainly appears that way, as it does appear he's in some pain. So Marshall Kent wins again, and to be perfectly honest, Kent did not bowl well in this one. He made too many poor shots, missing right several times, but got away with pretty much everything in this one. Now we head on to the title match, and it's 1 seed Anthony Simonsen looking for his 6th major. It's a 10 pin to start for Marshall Kent, followed by a very light hit where the pins just all fell over. Simonsen had a 4 pin followed by a 10 pin, which was almost taken out by a messenger, but then gets his first strike of the match in the 3rd frame. A split for Kent in the 5th as he leaves the 2-10, and it will be an open frame. He then follows this up with a 10 pin leave. Simonsen is working on a strike, but is having real difficulties on the right lane, which could be a problem down the line, as he actually chose to finish on this lane. He leaves the 3-6-10, which he does pick up. Then on his next shot, he knew this was trouble straight off his hand, and leaves the 3-4-6-7 for an open frame, and he only takes out 1 pin. Kent takes advantage of this opening with 2 nice shots for a double and a 16 pin lead. However, Simonsen responds with a double of his own, and things start to get a little bit heated. However, it still is in Kent's hands. Now, you know how the theme of this video has been Kent getting good breaks and at the right time? Well, here's another, as this one slightly inside and goes high and almost leaves the 9 pin until a messenger kicks it out, and obviously this was huge. Now on to his 10th frame, and it's another huge miss from Kent, throwing it way out to the right, leaving the 1-2-7. I've lost count of how many times he's actually missed right by this amount, but he does manage to cover, and of course he has to finish off with a Brooklyn strike, and now Simonsen can win this with a double and 4 pins. He gets the first strike from a really nice shot, and this next shot looked like it had a chance but ended up hitting slightly light, and he left a 10 pin, which meant Marshall Kent has won his first ever major. Now, I don't want to take anything away from Kent, because although he rode his luck, he did make some key shots to really take advantage of that luck. I think by far his worst game was against EJ Tackett, and he was fortunate to advance in that one, but in the other matches he just managed to do enough, and it looked like he did almost throw it away in the 10th frame against Simonsen. But I suppose the only good thing for Kent is that when he made bad shots, he was missing by a long way, so that meant either a Brooklyn strike, or when he did miss the head pin completely to the right, he just seemed to be leaving things he could spare. Of course, all winners in every sport need luck, but Kent certainly had all of the luck going in every single match. But given all his struggles on TV in the past, it was brilliant to see him finally win his first major, and given how well he's bowled this season, it was definitely well deserved. And that is going to bring us to an end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed this little breakdown of the Tournament of Champions. As always, I'd be really keen to hear your thoughts on the subject of luck and how much of a factor you think luck plays in bowling. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. And if you have enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to the channel. That's going to be all from me for today, and as always, thank you bowling fans, and see you all next time.